I didn't find good companies, so that's how underDOGS started. We actually pitched it to Sony. भैया game कैसे बनाते हैं? Games are actually made and not provided in phones by default, right? If you have male friends who has played Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm sure he has cried by the end of that game.
One gaming industry myth that completely needs to die.
90% of the comments are coming from Chinese people talking shit about India. First, India should build toilets in their country.
Oh no. Welcome to InControversial. I'm your host Pooja Chaudhary, and with me today is a man who has seamlessly transitioned from theatre to gaming, from coding and storytelling. He's an entrepreneur, a game director, a game developer, mentor to thousands of aspiring developers, the mastermind behind underDOGS Gaming Studio, and winner of the Sony PlayStation's India Hero Project. Please welcome Vaibhav Chavan.
Thank you.
Hey Vaibhav, thank you so much for coming on InControversial.
Thank you.
Absolutely delighted to have you on the show and to get a peek into your world. But before we get into the world of gaming, I want to know, you started your journey from theatre.
Yeah.
And where did you really get to know that it's not theatre but gaming is your calling, because clearly that's what you're known as today?
Yeah, so the thing is, I was actually doing multiple things. Theatre was not the primary thing that I was doing.
Okay.
I'm a computer engineer.
Right.
So by 2007, I actually finished my engineering. And at that time, like being from a middle class family, I just was supposed to go in an IT firm, work as a developer and stuff like that. But I was more keen into creative side of the world, what is happening. Yeah. And because I had played a lot of games, thanks to my father who brought like a black and white PC at my home 6 years back, like 1999 or 2000. He brought that, and I kept playing games and was so much inspired by games. I actually wanted to get into the gaming industry. Theatre actually came in because I was in engineering.
Okay.
And I used to do a lot of cultural events. I was a if there's another bench after backbench, then I was that.
It's funny that you say that.
So like a backbencher, had like a lot of backlogs and stuff in engineering, but I was more of a person. I was a people's person at that time also. I used to be at cultural events. I used to organize a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So I got introduced to theatre in college.
Right.
But that stuck to me for a long time. And then when the time came when I had to do a job, I directly jumped into gaming. So that was like, again, I had a dream company to work for, which was India Games.
Okay.
And at that time, India Games was probably one of the 2-3 companies that people knew, right? And my idea was, one fine day I'll work for this company.
Okay.
Fortunately, I just got my first job at India Games itself.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's a long story. But then when I started at India Games, I was working as a game designer, game producer for India Games, then Games to Win, Hangama. But while that was happening, I continued doing theatre.
Okay.
So after college, I started building my own troupe.
Okay.
So this was like an open group which I formed, and I made like a team of around 40 people.
That is a very big troupe.
Yeah. And then we started doing plays, and these were experimental plays that you call, and I used to do regional plays in Marathi. So we call it Ekankika, which is like a one act play, right? So we were quite successful in that. We were one of the big names between 2011 to 2015 in that circuit of.
What was your troupe called?
It was called JEP, ZHEP. JEP is a Marathi for a big leap.
Okay.
And there was a play called E equals to MC square that I directed, and I played Albert Einstein in that.
Wow.
So like a complete package Raju Hirani types play where there's like a roller coaster ride and then a happy ending to it. So like a complete full package. That play did really well, ran for like 3 years between 2012 to 2015.
Wow, that's commendable.
Yeah, we won a lot of state level awards, probably 60 state level awards for that. But that was like my parallel journey.
Okay.
And this was, gaming was still happening. So 2011 till 2011, I worked for these big companies as a game designer, game producer. And while I was at Hangama, the dream to start my own company, was born in Games to Win, which is 2010,
Okay.
right? Because in Games to Win, I learned the complete art of making a game from scratch to taking it live.
Okay.
But I didn't have enough network. I didn't know a lot of people, so I joined Hungama to know a lot of people, and a lot of people should know me. That was my objective, right?
Good objective to have, huh?
So I went to Hungama, just like sole purpose was to just go and talk to people. 800 people on one floor.
Right.
That big was the company. By the time I left Hungama, at least half of them knew me.
Okay.
Because I was actually not focusing on what I was supposed to do. I was more, because I was visioning a lot more things, right?
Matlab you had your eye on the future,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So in 2011, I also find it difficult. So I didn't have a business plan.
Okay.
So I found it difficult when, as a game producer, I was looking to find smaller studios who can make good quality games
Okay.
at affordable prices.
Right.
And I was not finding them
Okay.
because this was 2011, right? And
Yeah, so
it was quite early for India. There were hardly 20-25 gaming companies at that time. Today we have more than 700 companies in gaming,
wow,
right?
look at the journey.
Yeah. So I didn't find good companies. So I decided to go on the other side of the table. So I started my own company, which can do everything that I was looking for. Yeah. So that's how underDOGS started. underDOGS started in 2011 with an objective that I will have a small studio. I'll have 2-3 people, and I'll make good quality games at affordable prices for bigger gaming companies, digital agencies, brands, movie production houses. That was the sole idea.
And also we had sort of been through the whole .com era, and you know that whole bubble had burst.
Yeah.
And nobody could understand the internet and ये क्या है उसके ऊपर से आप gaming ले आए हो now.
So when I started, my dad was very supportive because he has his own mechanical workshop.
Okay.
So the entrepreneurship thing, right, comes from him. Because he also started his own factory like way back in 94 or something, when he had 2 kids also, right? Us being very small at that time, but still taking a risk of starting his own company. So he gave me like a very small 4x4 space in his factory to start.
Okay.
That's where I actually started. So it's like a mechanical workshop, and in the center there is a gaming company. So, but yeah, you know, the society and everything. What is he doing? Like my elder brother is an ideal guy. Like he's like right time engineering, MBA, IIM, marriage, kids, everything right on time, right? And I am a complete opposite character. So there was always this thing, because success was not really defined also, right? What have you actually done that you can say that, okay, I've made it in gaming, right?
Right.
There was nothing that I did at that time also. The very first breakthrough that we got was in 2015, when we actually launched our first big IP, which was Skatelander.
Okay.
That did really well. We were one of the first studios from India which got international publisher.
Nice.
We also got featured on Apple and Google app stores for in 130 countries. At that time, independent developers were not really in limelight, and we were one of the first ones to get that. That was a breakthrough, and that's where my entire family was convinced that okay, this is
he knows what he is doing, and ये कुछ आगे मतलब और भी बड़ा होने वाला है.
And fortunately, on the other hand, I also started doing a lot of public speaking.
Okay.
Because I took for the first 3-4 years of that underDOGS journey, I was in isolation making games. But then I realized very quickly that unless and until you network and start talking to people and reach out to people, it's not going to scale up. So I took a leap, and I applied for a talk, which is India Game Developer Conference, which is the biggest conference in India, right?
Okay.
I gave my first talk at that conference, and that really changed my complete life. Not just in terms of the numbers or the game success,
right,
but in terms of how people started recognizing me in the industry.
And yet, I mean, if I was to talk about Mukti, it's been in the making since 2017, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
How has that journey been? And, despite the long struggle or the journey, how have you continued to remain focused on Mukti?
See, the idea to get into gaming was that everybody who has started their companies early everybody wanted to make bigger games, right? That was the ultimate ambition, that someday we want to make a GTA or a, Assassin's Creed or something like that. But to reach there, you have to make smaller games and get that experience and build something, right? Mukti was one of those stepping stones for us, where we just figured out an idea which was groundbreaking.
Okay.
And we 100% believed in the idea from day one. So me and my co-founder Sankesh, we actually wrote the first draft of Mukti back in 2017.
Okay.
At that time, PC gaming was slowly picking up in India. So we decided to actually design a game around that on PC with limited assets. So because we were a small team, right, we can't actually go and build like a bigger game, right?
Correct.
So we were thinking of doing like a 1 or 2 hours of game with a nice story to it. And we were also reading about a lot of human trafficking, sex trafficking articles at that time, and it was happening at a big scale in the north part of India, northeast part of India. So we thought, gaming is one medium where you can actually tell stories to a much bigger audience.
Absolutely.
On a global scale.
Yeah.
And gaming does not require a language, right? It does not have that barrier. You can have no audio in the game and still convey the whole story through game. Honestly, didn't have money to build that game because it requires some capital to build a game like that.
Right.
We worked so much into the pre-production of that game that we have a story that is so tight and gripping that you would not find loopholes into that story, because we worked for like 4-5 years on that story itself.
Of course.
Fortunately, what happened in 2021, Unreal came to us.
Yeah.
Because we had like a simple demo, 10 minutes demo that we made of Mukti. Unreal came to us and they actually liked the demo that we made, and they asked us to shift to Unreal.
Okay.
So Unreal and Unity are basically game engines on which you game games. So they asked us to come on Unreal. We agreed to do that. They gave us a mega grant. So we took like $25,000 for that.
Okay.
And then we built a vertical slice, like a small demo, which is like around 30 minutes. That demo actually was built in 2021. And with that demo, we also created a cinematic teaser.
Okay.
What you see on YouTube today is that cinematic teaser, which was built in 2021. Now both of these things clubbed together with a great pitch. We actually pitched it to Sony in 2023.
Okay.
And Sony actually agreed to fund the whole development from 2024, which is where the game from pre-production went into the production in February 2024.
Okay.
So that's the whole journey.
Wow.
So February 2024 till the date is not yet announced, but till the time the game is finished and we are ready for the launch, the whole development is taken care, the fund is taken care by Sony.
Okay.
So that is the whole journey.
That is the India Heroes project.
India Hero project. And like us, they also selected 4 other studios to build their own respective games.
Fantastic. And with all the boom that we are seeing in the gaming industry today, whilst we may not have been there entirely at a global level, what do you think we need to change to compete more internationally?
Yeah, so the stories or the storytelling capabilities of India, right, are exceptional. We have too many stories to be told. You can still say that India has talent, but talent and experience are two different things. The companies in China or US have built games for 20 years. And that is the reason why they are building bigger games, AAA titles today.
Correct.
We are in an early stage where companies like us are now building smaller games, and 5 years later we'll be building bigger games. So that experience that we lack is because we have not produced these games yet. But a platform like Sony, when we are working with Sony, the amount of learnings and knowledge that Sony is sharing with us, it's mind-blowing.
I'm sure. Yet if I was to ask you, if there's one gaming trend that you absolutely hate, and hate being a strong word, but cannot ignore, what would that be?
A lot of my friends are actually building those kind of games, so I don't know, but I wouldn't call it hate, but I don't love hyper casual games. So these are games which are like portrait mode. You
Yeah.
just tap, single tap mechanic games.
Huh.
And I'm not saying we didn't do that. We also did that.
Right.
COVID was hyper casual was a savior in COVID.
Huh.
Because that saved us also. It was big in COVID where people used to just play those tap games,
Correct.
right? The sad part of that industry is it's become more like a trading business
Okay.
where you might have seen a lot of bad ads on your mobile, right?
Yeah.
About the games.
Yeah.
About these games, they'll show very vulgar or off the edge kind of ads which pull people in.
Right.
There's nothing like that in the game,
Huh.
but it's just to
Lure them in. Yeah.
And their business model is more on the CPI, which we call as cost per install model,
Yeah.
where they know that this game is not going to last for more than 15 days. They make a game, but they know it's not going to last, right? So their idea to make money from that game is from just the first 7 days
Yeah.
of that game.
Quick and easy install.
Yeah, so they pour a lot of money on day one
Okay.
and recover it, and then that's like a
And does it really work? Tell
yeah,
me.
it is working till like there are billion-dollar companies doing this today.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a model which I am not really in favor of, because for me I actually don't consider, like, it's not like pure game also.
Huh.
And it's not even immersive. For me, if I'm a story, I believe I'm a storyteller, I want to build immersive games. When I say immersive, it's what we used to do earlier was we used to take some time out of our daily routine and play games. Today, people play games when they have time, right?
Oh no.
So, when people are commuting,
Huh.
they'll quickly play like a session of like 5 minutes.
Huh.
People in restrooms play.
Yeah.
Right? That is not an immersive. You can't actually immerse.
Yeah, you need to have dedicated
Yeah.
time and you need to sort of enjoy the process.
Yeah. So hyper casual is something like that. I would not say I hate those games, but I don't really like those games.
So is this also something that you share with young developers and game designers, that you mentor and sort of teach and guide?
Yeah, absolutely.
Storytelling skills and sort of inculcate in them curiosity and a thirst for consuming content?
Yeah, so the problem, like, I haven't gone deep into that yet.
Huh.
Because I think 6 years back I started YouTube. My whole purpose was, when I was in 2006, when I was looking for a job in gaming, I had no access to internet that much. If I had, there was not enough information on internet about how to get into the industry.
Yeah.
My whole purpose was to give that information, that people should know. They shouldn't feel that difficulty which I felt back in 2006, right? So my purpose was that. When I started making videos, I started with complex subjects like what is App Store optimization, right? And when I saw the comments below that, comments were like, "Bhaiya game kaise banate?"
Huh.
So I understood there is a big gap.
Yeah.
People are not even ready for the high level details of
Yeah,
it.
you needed to
Basics,
sort of start at the basics.
पता नहीं है लोगों को
Huh.
how a game is made.
Huh.
People in 2017 also, and I'm sure आज भी you'll see a lot of audience who have no clue that the games are actually made and not provided in phones by default, right? So at that time people were in that confusion. So I started with basics, and I still do keep it very basic, where I didn't see any change from 2017 to today. I find the same set of audience. It's just that the number of people are
Newer
growing.
people are
newer
coming
people
in.
are coming in. But the problems are very ground level. So I don't get into that much. But yeah, in my community of founders, I definitely, and the younger founders, I definitely try to explain this.
We'll take a little rapid fire round, if I may say
Sure.
so now. Have a little fun.
Yeah.
Console, PC or mobile, what's your guilty pleasure?
Console. For a long time it was mobile, but in the recent 3-4 years it's been console.
Okay.
With console also PlayStation specifically.
All right, okay. A game you wish you had made?
Something like Red Dead Redemption 2. I think that's one of the all-time classics. I think if you know if you have male friends who has played Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm sure he has cried by the end of that game.
Did you?
I did.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
The hardest game you've ever played? Would that also be the Red Dead?
No. It's a beautiful. Hardest would be. I actually don't. I'm not a. I'm not a guy who wants to compete. I can only compete in FIFA.
Okay.
But the other games which are the side-scrolling platformer where there is a fast-paced thing and you just have to kill some. I can't do that. I'm a slow-paced, story-driven kind of a guy who can sit and play a game for 40 hours, but not with that intense thing. So a lot of such platformer games. I can't name one right now.
Okay. One gaming industry myth that completely needs to die.
See, there is a lot of conversation going on around the AAA titles in India. When Black Myth Wukong came out, I'm sorry, this is not happening like a rapid fire.
No, it's okay, go for it.
But when Black Myth Wukong came in, a lot of people started saying, can India make a game like that? And it's built in China, right? And in a very less amount of money. And there was a big debate about that. I also did, I think Varun Maya made a video on that, and I made my own video on that. My video went viral, where I spoke about India can make a AAA title. And that went viral in China also. And if you look at that, the comments in that video, right, 90% of the comments are coming from Chinese people talking shit about India, that first India should build toilets in their country and all that stuff like that. I was very okay with that because again, it's like straight up, rivalry over there. But I was unhappy with the younger generation, the 10% people who commented below that, agreeing to the thing that India can't make a AAA title. And I was very sad about that. I think that's one of the myths that a lot of people in the industry have, and they are focused on smaller mobile stuff.
Yeah.
You will see that happening in the next 5 years. That's the myth I would.
Nice. I'm sure with people as focused as you, it will. But what if you wake up tomorrow as a video game character? Who would you be?
Arthur Morgan for sure. The same guy, Red Dead Redemption. Although the guy dies at the end, I don't want to. But like eventually. But that's the guy.
Nice. And if you have to delete one gaming franchise forever, Call of Duty, GTA, FIFA.
I think Call of Duty I would, because FIFA I can't spare a day without playing FIFA one match at least. Either it's me with some opponent online or with my wife.
Okay.
So Call of Duty.
She also shares the passion for gaming like you?
Yeah. She's a UI UX designer.
Okay.
So
that explains it then,
She's
interesting.
into games,
Nice. And if there is one game which is like wildly popular and you just never understood why so much hype around it, which game would that be?
Again, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. When I bought PS5, I got Modern Warfare with it. I didn't understand why it was even
so
sold with those, because it wasn't the overall franchise. Again, I am not really into it.
Okay.
So, but when I was young, one of the first few classics in the same category was called Medal of Honor. There was a game which all of these bigger franchises took as a base and built these bigger games.
Okay.
That game, Medal of Honor, was on the story of Saving Private Ryan. If you saw that movie,
yes, of course.
Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah.
It was a exact same story that they made in a game. I was a big fan of that game, but after that, none of these franchises really worked for me because it didn't have what that game had.
Nice, interesting. And you talked movies, and you've also talked about consuming content and the whole storytelling thing. So, if there was a Bollywood celebrity's life which had to be made into a game, who would you pick?
Hands down, Shah Rukh Khan.
Why?
And I'll be very open about it. I'm not really a big fan of his acting.
Okay.
But I am a die-hard fan of his journey. It's been crazy, incredible. I mean, I haven't seen anyone's journey as powerful and inspiring as his. Right from, featuring Mannat in the background of Chand Tare song to actually owning that. It's crazy. It's incredible.
Interesting. And full marks to you for sort of staying focused, walking the path for so many others to follow, and sort of going out there on the front foot, if I may say so, from theatre to coding, from passion to profession, Vaibhav Chavan is clearly proof that storytelling transcends mediums. Keep gaming, Vaibhav. More success your way, and I'm sure we'll catch up again on Controversial.
Thank you for inviting me.
With pleasure. And whilst we're at it, I wanted to ask, how did it feel to be featured in a podcast for a podcaster himself?
It was great. I love conversations. I'm a conversation guy.
Yeah, you're very passionate in your talking. It was really nice.
Yeah. So I loved it. I loved the conversation, and it has to be like a conversation itself.
Yeah, of course.
So I loved it.
Nice. Thank you so much. There's so much that I learned today, but more than that, I'm left so inspired, really. Just the reason why I think I started InControversial, to hear stories like this and to share it out there with so many more.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.